We kick off Auburn's 2024 football season in style. This special edition of the Uptempo podcast starts right now.
You are now listening to the War Report Podcast Network.
Let's go, man. Up-tempo gang. Dustin Smith, Blake Lane. And starting off tonight with Ike Jones, our guy from the War Report, man. Football is back, baby. Auburn kicks off the stadium Saturday night. Kicks off the season, Saturday night in Jordan Hare Stadium versus the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. We are fired up. Got a big show planned for this evening. Blake, Ike, how are we doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just ready for Saturday, ready to get things kicked off. And hopefully we go out and handle business, and there's no funky stuff that goes on Saturday night inside Jordan Hare. But I can't wait, man. I'm pumped. I'm ready for the show tonight, ready for Saturday night. It's finally here. We've waited so long. We've gotten through, the awful baseball season, and we got through, that summer months of recruiting and just plugging away, man, just talking about fall camp, and we're finally here. So I appreciate each and every one of you that hung with us throughout it all. So I'm ready, Dustin.
For sure. Ike, how we doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm good. I'm definitely ready to get this thing cranked up, dude. I'm just ready to make that drive down 280 and figure out, is this offense for real? And can this defense be dominant? Let's answer all the speculation, man. I'm tired. I'm honestly tired of talking about what could be. I'm ready to talk about what is.
Yeah, I'm out of takes. I've said all my takes. All I got to say, man. I'm ready for some football. Blake, I know you got some questions, man. Fire away.
Yeah, Ike, I'll start it off, and you talk about the offense. I want to talk about the running back room real quick, and I wanted to ask you. I know Jarquez is that main guy back there, but when we talk about Damari and we talk about Jeremiah Cobb, how do you think those two guys will be used this season with Jarquez Hunter and have that three-headed monster in the backfield?
Yeah, that's the reason. Like a lot of people are saying, they think Jarquez is going to have like 12, 13, 1,400 yards. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't think that's going to happen this year, just because I do think they're going to do their best to try to limit the tread on the tires. Just, to borrow something that Cadillac used to say, man, just keep the tread off the tires so that Jarquez is still going to have legs when he gets his chance to be an NFL athlete. And, I look back at the way, if we're talking about, what was there with the Ole Miss offense with Derek Nix was there. No, he wasn't the OC, right? Like, he was definitely a part of what they were doing from a game planning standpoint. As great a running back as they had with Quinshon Judkins, they were still heavily using their backup running back there in that system. I expect to see Damari Alston get his touches this year. And, if you listen to him and the Coach Freeze talk about the multiplicity that they want to do with the alignments, they're going to see multiple running backs on the field at the same time this season. So I'm looking forward to seeing some creativity come to this offense this year, because I felt like the offense lacked imagination last year.
Well, I want to go outside and talk about my guy, Perry Thompson, man. I know the hype through fall camp and summer workouts and everything. It's been real, and I know he's a player. What do you think he does his freshman year? What kind of season do you expect from PT3?
I think that Perry Thompson is going to be a guy that will slowly work his way into the starting lineup, honestly. Like, as much as I love what has come of the acquisition of the transfer guys in Lambert Smith and Lewis and even Sam Jackson. I think what eventually will happen is, they're going to rotate a lot, and they've said that, but I think what eventually is going to happen is Perry Thompson's going to be the other guy on the outside opposite Cam Coleman. And then you're going to see Lambert Smith slide into that slot role. And then Robert Lewis is going to be the next up guy to come in as a fourth receiver off of the bench. That's what I genuinely expect to happen this year, because I think, this is going to sound disrespectful to Peyton Thorne, but this is just the honesty. He needs bailout guys. And I think Perry Thompson, Cam Coleman, and Rivaldo Fairweather all on the field at the same time gives him three clear bailout guys where it's not looking right. Let's just pick a one-on-one and go for it.
Well, how do you feel about Sam Jackson with the Wildcat? You know, I know Hugh spoke on that and said that you might see him take some direct snaps and things like that. What do you think he will bring to the offense?
You know what? This is going to be another unpopular thing that I'm about to say. It sounds a lot like what he said about Robbie Ashford last year, right? About he's going to have a role in this offense, and he's going to. And I do wonder if if Peyton Thorne doesn't play well, are people going to say, "Oh, well, he was splitting snaps with Sam Jackson"? He wasn't splitting snaps. He was just out there doing. They're again trying to use some what I hope, God, I hope if they're going to deploy this, they do it in an intelligent way. I am not of the persuasion, oh, you can't take your quarterback off. You can move him and do some other stuff. Just don't do it at stupid times. Let's be on the same page with how we want to put this package into utilization in situations where it makes sense, and don't call the same stupid ass QB sweep every single time with it, right? Like use a little bit of imagination. Again, I'm hoping the imagination comes back to offensive play calling at Auburn.
Well, last one, and I'll kick it over to you, Dustin. I wanted to talk about the D line, man, and what Auburn did through the portal, bringing guys over like Rakes and Keys and Blitty. How do you think that group gels together, and what do you think they do this year? Can Auburn stop the run?
That's the big question, honestly. I think that there's enough depth there where it's not going to be a situation where Coach Hugh Freeze and company feel as if they're relying on just one or two guys to have to play the majority of the snaps. I looked at Bleedy's tape. I like what I saw on it. He's a guy who occupies blockers, right? If you're going to try to double team and climb, he knows how to get there and make sure that he's occupying both of those guys enough to get your linebackers flowing downhill. I watched Isaiah Rake's tape, and he's another guy who, if he's there in the middle, he knows how to occupy blocks. He knows how to shed blocks there in the middle. So you have two guys that can play at that nose tackle that can come in and spell. Last year, and I've been noted in saying this, I don't feel like Jason Jones is a true nose tackle despite his size. I think he's better at a D tackle position. So you have two other guys, and then not even mentioning Trill Carter, who all I think can play at the nose, which allows you to move guys around, right? You're not, even in injury, I think you have enough people to be multiple in how you're going to line up front, which means you're going to have a good rotation, which should mean that you can stop the run more effectively because guys aren't getting tired.
Dustin, what's up, man?
All right, so kind of staying on that same front there, looking at the defense, I know that you've done a lot of film breakdown. DJ Durkin comes in his first year as a defensive coordinator. When you look at the film, what are some things that you see that excites you about what he does?
It is the way that he gets different things involved as far as the blitz packages, right? Like, and that's, listen, I liked what Ron Roberts had conceptually last year as far as a defensive plan. So this isn't like I'm more excited about it. I just think I think you're going to see a more aggressive style of defense, right? Like Ron Roberts is more of okay, what are they doing? Let's react to it. And we're going to bring a lot of simulated pressure. They're going to bring simulated pressure. We're going to get the zone blitzes and that sort of thing, but he's not afraid to send 5 or 6 as well. Like it's going to be chaos up front and put it on the offense to figure out what you're doing. Not, hey, what are they doing? Let's react and see if we can counter it. Like, no, all right. They're going to go out there and try to impose some things defensively. And I like that. I like the aggressive style. And I'm looking forward to seeing how well the secondary adapts to that, because they're going to be key to making sure that the explosives are limited in this defense.
So if we're facing, I don't know, let me think of something here, a 4th and goal from the 31. Let's just say we're in a big game scenario, and that's the case. Hypothetical here, right?
I mean, who does that?
Is DJ going to bring the house, Ike? Is that what you're telling me?
He's going to bring more than 2. I can guarantee that.
Cool. No spy.
It's going to be more than 2 in that scenario. I can guarantee you that one. Yeah, he's going to dictate what's happening up front, and he's going to make you figure out how to beat it, as opposed to I don't know. I feel as if, and again, this is not disrespectful to Ron Roberts, because I do think that Ron Roberts is a good defensive coordinator overall. I just think that he is he's just not aggressive. He's not aggressive. He is more of he ascribes to the bend but don't break philosophy of defense. And what you see from DJ Durkin is, I'm going to try to break you.
Yeah, and I know you and Blake did the morning drop the other day talking about, the interceptions last year. And when you talk about that bend but break, it's like, well, the interceptions kind of help you out when you're bending.
Yeah.
Those interceptions don't come, and maybe it does look a little bit different. When you talk about what DJ does up front, what are some of the guys that are currently on this roster that you're looking at and you're like, I think this guy's going to eat in this system, man?
I mean, you're talking about strictly from the defensive line standpoint.
It can be, it can be a linebacker like a Robert
Yeah,
Woodyard that's going to come up and thump somebody, or
it's really the linebackers, man. Like when you look at who are the guys that have led Durkin defenses in tackles and sack, it's the linebackers. If you have quality linebacker play, because what he wants to do with those front four guys is, or three plus additional whatever, with the buck position, what he wants to do with those guys is be people eaters. Like, we're just going to go up there and we're going to occupy blocks, and we're going to be solid in our responsibility and our gap integrity so that those linebackers can fly downhill. And the good thing for Auburn is you got some flyers in your linebacker room. Like, you've got guys that can get from A to B really quickly. So see it, put a foot in the ground, and go get after it. I mean, when I talked to Eugene Asante at media days, I was like, yo, this defense is made for you, dude. Like, this is what you do all day, is go attack. And this defense allows for linebackers that have an attacking mentality to go out there and really run through some people. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's able to do in this defense.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any concerns about just the youth, the lack of depth, I would say, in the secondary?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's concerning because you don't know what you don't know, right? Like, how good is Sylvester Smith, who's going to be your backup safety? Caleb Wooden and Jaron Thompson have been in college for a long time. Neither of those guys have been the guy in anybody's secondary ever, right? So how consistently are they going to be able to play at the safety position and have people in the right spot? Champ Anthony barely played any in, he's got experience in JUCO, but as far as P4, this level of college football, barely played any on the field other than mop-up duty, right? So and Keontae Scott's playing a different position than what he's typically been doing. So you've got some guys who've got talent, but how quickly do they get into the right spot? I've heard a lot about the intelligence of the safeties in this room, and that's going to be super crucial. Like, just making sure we've communicated what's supposed to be happening. I know the work habits of a guy like Kayed Lee from talking to players around. So I think he's going to be ready. I know the work habits of a Keontae Scott. I think he's going to know what he's supposed to do. The safeties are the ones where I'm just like, I just don't know. But I've heard great things about Jaron Thompson and just the way that he prepares. And, if Simp says Caleb Wooden's good, then that's all I need to know.
Yeah, right. One more offensive. I got an offensive question for you before you get out of here, Ike. And you were the one that brought this stat to my attention, that Rivaldo Fairweather led the team last year with a whopping 38 receptions. So my question for you is,
I wanted to weep while reading that. I just did. I was like, I mean, whatever, man.
So
that's
bad.
That's abysmal.
In 2024, it's wild stuff. But how many guys, Ike, clear that 38 mark this year?
Gosh, that's a good question. At least three. I think at least three. I think you'll have multiple receivers in the 40 plus receptions, just because and this is a reason why I'm not as sold on the idea that a lot of people are, that Cam Coleman's going to get 1,000 yards this season as a receiver. I think they're going to spread the ball out a pretty decent amount to a bunch of different targets. But and I am of the thought process that if it becomes too repetitive, defenses are just going to say, all right, anybody but that guy, right? And I think that's going to happen by Oklahoma, right? Like, I think by the Oklahoma game, it's going to be clear who's the guy Peyton Thorne likes to go to in this scenario. Let's take that away, because you're going to get into the more quality defense. You're talking about Oklahoma, Georgia, Missouri, Kentucky. 4 games, really, if you get into Texas A&M, 5 games of defenses that are quality. And they're going to say, great, you've had a really fabulous run throwing it to this guy. None in this game. Right. And they're going to make Peyton Thorne prove he's willing to throw the ball to these other guys. So in 5 games where they're going to try to limit Cam Coleman, he's going to get some because he's Cam Coleman. And I think they're going to scheme enough up for him to be able to do that with just alignment and that sort of thing. Right. But it's going to give opportunities to some of these other guys to be able to step up. And luckily you have guys that you feel comfortable stepping up. Keandre Lambert-Smith has been a number one at a power program, right? So you don't worry about whether or not he can step up and make the catches. And Robert Lewis, though he hasn't been a number one at a power program, but he was the number one receiver at the program he was at the G5 level. I feel confident, hey, if we got to go to him, we can do that. Rivaldo Fairweather, he was the leading receiver last year for Auburn. We can go to him in those moments. So you've got really 4 guys who've been number one receivers on respective teams throughout their collegiate career. 3 guys plus what we're assuming is going to be Cam Coleman. I think you're in a good spot offensively to be able to not be so reliant on, if it's not this guy, we don't have anybody. Gotcha. I think there will be multiple guys up over that 38 mark this season. I'm going to say 3 right now.
Ike Jones, everybody, is predicting that Auburn will enter the 21st century and spread the ball around a little bit through the air, baby.
It's a crazy concept in the year 2024 that you throw the football even in the SEC. I know it's wild, but listen, I believe in philosophically what Coach Hugh Freeze has done his entire career, and I believe in philosophically what Derek Nix has set under as an offensive mind his entire career. That's Coach Hugh Freeze, and that is that guy over there at Broken Ugly, right? So when you've been under guys who like to throw it around the yard, your offensive philosophy is not going to be drastically different from them. It's going to be tempo, and it's going to be throw it around. Like that's what you're going to get in a Derek Nix offensive mind. Like that he's not going to make some abstract turn somewhere else and be like, nope, we're going to run the power I. No, they're going to spread it out. They're going to throw it around. It's going to be a mix of run, right? We're going to use the run and tempo, but we're going to throw the football. We're going to get it out on the external portions of the defense and make you guys figure out how to react out there. And then just when you're lulling to sleep because we're turning around, hand it off, throwing it out there perimeter, turn around, hand it off, throw it out there perimeter, you got a seam shot for 40 yards of a guy who's out there as butt naked as the freaking statue of David, right? Like he's just out there sitting by himself. So it should be a fun brand of football back on the Plains offensively.
Yeah, this is why me and Blake, we were so excited watching all these kids in high school last year, the Perrys, the Cams, the Bryson. We're not surprised hearing all these positive reviews about them now. It's like we were watching them like these dudes are for real, and they can make a difference on Auburn right now. Ike, what is the topic tomorrow night on the midweek report? What are we talking about?
We're going to talk just about expectations for the game. We are going to preview all the games in the SEC like we normally do on a Wednesday night. But we're going to give the audience an opportunity to really just like, let's air it out. All the stuff that you hate, that you don't want to see for the season, and let's leave it in the trash. Like we're not going to bring it up anymore. Let's adopt the Hugh Freeze. I don't want to hear about last season anymore. Mm-hmm. It's done. We are officially game week right now. We're A&M. That's it. How do we destroy the collective soul of everybody who inhabits normal Alabama? That's all we're focusing on now, man. Forget all that other stuff.
Yes, sir. Well, y'all know where to go over there to the War Report, 7 p.m. Central Time tomorrow night. Blake, you got anything for Ike before he gets out of here?
Oh, man. Hey, it's here Saturday, and I appreciate you having me on the morning drop, man. It was,
man.
It was a fun one.
Listen, man, you guys need to be over there more often, man. People are tired of hearing me talk, so we got to get some other voices in there talking some stuff, man. But you guys know I got to jump over here to this other situation. But if I get done in time and you guys are still going, I will come back and holler at y'all. So
appreciate y'all. Party, all right? Come hang out with us if you can.
All right, appreciate y'all, man. Y'all enjoy it.
All right, later, buddy. All right, we got the next guest waiting in the wings, about to bring him up. We had some chats that we wanted to get to real quick. Our guy Auburn Dad celebrating his son Alex's birthday today. And Auburn Dad, I cannot tell you how fired up for you I am that you got to do that today, buddy. We've been praying for you. We continue praying for you and your family, man. That's big time, and I'm glad that you and Alex get to watch some football this season together, man. Let's go, man. God is good, right? And then Brad says the announcers even said in the ATM game, talking about Texas A&M there. I see you, Brad. That Coach Hugh Freeze said they'll get the yards between the 20s. That was the scheme Roberts played. Ellis Johnson did the same thing. Salvageable, but not good. I hear you, Brad. I'm kind of the fan of don't bend, just break their ass defense. That's kind of what I like. Let's just no bending, bro. No bending at all. All right, guys. Keep these comments flowing. We're going to bring in our next guest, and I'm going to get his name right the first time. Watch this, y'all. Mr. Kyle Rush from the barn, baby. What's up, buddy?
That's still weird. No matter how many times I hear it, it's still weird. Still weird. It's my own name. I can't get used to it.
Right. How you doing tonight, man?
Doing good. I pounded a great 5-hour energy, and I'm ready to rock. So let's roll.
Let's go. Yeah, I got work at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm sipping on a Red Bull at 7:21 at night, dude. Let's go.
Have it coursing through your veins. It's all you can do to maintain the excitement for this weekend. I'm fired up, man.
Yes, sir. Blake, you want to get us started with Charlie?
Yeah, man. Want to get us started with Charlie? Love it. Hey, it rolls off the tongue, man.
It's fun.
But
it's fine.
Yeah.
I'll answer both.
But look, first off, congratulations on
Thank you.
everything, man. It's awesome to see all the hard work that you put into it, and just the grind, and always coming on when we ask you. You know, you give us so much, info, and you talk to us, and you always respond, man. It really means a lot, and we just want to say that we appreciate you first off.
You're gonna make me cry, so let's we gotta start talking about football. No,
all right.
I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you guys for having me on, and it's been fun, getting to know you guys.
Yeah, man. Sure. Yeah. Let's talk football. All right.
Let's do it.
The first thing I want to talk about is I want to ask you about this offensive line. We heard that there was some movement, and people were kind of going from tackle, moving inside to guard, and there was some folks switching around. What do you think the offensive line looks like Saturday when the Auburn Tigers roll out?
So the good thing is you feel like you got 4 out of the 5 locked in. You feel like you got Dylan Wade, you got Connor Lew, you got Jeremiah Wright, you got Xavier Miller. So the right side of the line is locked down. You got your 4 out of the 5. It's trying to figure out the combination to make that 5th piece work. I think Percy has had maybe some issues with getting the plays right, and then maybe a little bit of issues with some of the speed that coming off the edge. That's a big dude, and it's a short time to kind of adjust your body and get ready for the system. And then Tyler Johnson, TJ, has had a unbelievable fall camp. I think towards the end of it, he had a chance to really go ahead and take the job, but everybody, when you finally get the chance, can you go ahead and seize it? And I think he struggled a little bit towards the end, so he didn't really get that opportunity to go ahead and snatch it. But I don't know what to expect on Saturday. You got the ore in the depth chart. The worst case scenario is Dylan Wade's back at left tackle. And last year he was phenomenal at left tackle, regardless of his measurables, regardless if he's only 6'4", whatever. He was an unbelievable left tackle last year. So worst case scenario, you can find somebody to play guard. You got Braden Joyner, who's kind of exploded out of nowhere, kind of shot up the depth chart that could come in there and play left guard if needed. So I'm not necessarily that worried. You just got to find that 5th guy. And I honestly think when you trot out there for the first series, I think it's going to be Percy, and then it's going to be Dylan, just like it's been throughout the spring and the fall camp. And then after a couple of drives, you may see some substitutions. But again, you're just trying to find one more guy. And I'm not super duper concerned because, like I said, worst case scenario, you're back to last year. And I think you did some really good stuff on the offensive line last year. Hey, you were able to run the ball with absolutely 0 passing attacks. So that was impressive in and of itself.
Hey, that's great stuff, man. Last year was rough. Like Ike said, can't wait to just get it out of the system. So
we need a cleanse. We need a cleanse on Saturday. Give me 70. Give me 70 points. I need a cleanse.
That would be fun, man. I want to go over to the defensive side of the ball real quick, and it's a guy that I just feel like you don't really hear a lot about him or anything like that, but I just keep seeing Champ Anthony's name, man. Like, could you talk a little bit about him and what kind of season do you think he'll have?
So he's a really cool story. His whole journey through college football and whatnot to get to Auburn is a really cool story. And he kind of showed up late in the 2023 class as sort of like I kind of honestly just thought he would be a roster spot, like a roster filler. And he's sort of made that nickel position his baby. He sort of kind of carved a niche in that nickel position, and with Keontae Scott wanting to move outside, that opened the door for somebody to be able to step in there and try to make it happen. And I think, he's excited. Like, listen to his press conference. I think it was either today or yesterday. He's just excited. He's fired up. He has very high expectations for himself. And I think you got a guy who's a little bit longer version of Keontae that's got the same kind of fire. Maybe not the big hit, big play. It just seemed like Keontae had a nose for the ball, a nose for creating a turnover. But I'm excited to see him. I think he's going to be a really good player in that role.
Yeah, man, that was one thing that always stuck out to me was just the motor, the drive to just keep getting better. Even when he got his first go with Auburn right there. But one thing before I kick it back over to Dustin, I gotta ask this. Like, we talk so much about receiver, and we rattle off the names and the big time recruits, man. Where is Caleb Burton in all of this? Like we just haven't heard it.
If I'm him, I'm pissed off. I'm ready to. I got a chip on my shoulder. I'm ready to try to. I'm getting overshadowed. Let me out there and let me and I'll show you what I can do. He kind of stepped into a role last year at times as playing an outside receiver because there was no threat on the outside, and I thought he did really good at times. He had a couple of big catches. I think he had the deep ball in the bowl game, and he's shown some explosion at times. I would say. I mean, I don't really know where he fits in this equation, but if I'm him, you got you watch Camden Brown. Camden Brown took that motivation. He didn't pout. He's worked his way up into being first on the field after Cam Coleman. Where can Caleb end up being in this scenario? Is he a slot guy? Is he an outside guy? Regardless, he has like all the motivation to want to take and make the most of his reps. So you're going to get to see a bunch of people play this weekend, and I think he's going to need, he's going to be chomping at the bit whenever I get my chance. Get me the ball. I'm going to get open, and I'm going to make something happen because he is an explosive. He does have some explosion to him at times.
Love that, man. Dustin?
Yeah, that's a great question, Blake. Just in all the excitement about the new receiver.
You just totally forget about him.
Yeah. And last year, I mean, toward the end of the season, Hugh was in press conferences saying, "Hey, Caleb Burton had a good week of practice. He's earning reps. And if Hugh calls you out in the press conference, then we're probably going to see him the next week. We've learned that he will get up there at the mic and he'll tell the truth, sometimes to a fault. But I mean, he's going to be honest with you. I do too. I would say, me and Blake were talking last week. It does seem like his tone has changed a little bit as far as the team, and maybe it's simply because he believes a little bit more in this team than he did last year's. But as far as last year, the message was always, I got to recruit. He kind of seems excited, and I think a lot of that is just the staff he's built, the continuity he feels, and being back in charge of the offense. And speaking of the offense, Kyle, I've said all off season, Chris Todd 2009 should be the goal here for Peyton Thorne. 22 touchdowns, 2,612 yards. Give me an over or under. Does he get there? Can he pull Chris Todd 09 off?
At first, right off the bat, I was like under on both. But then I looked. I was like, hell, he threw 16 touchdowns last year. This way this offense is, I think he's got a better chance to go over on the touchdowns than the yards. And let me tell you why. Because I think Hugh, the way he calls plays, he loves one-on-one matchups inside the 20. So if he can get those one-on-one matchups, they're going to put the ball in the air. Like, you just get ready for it. Like, I don't understand. I've had some conversations with Zach and others. Like, I think it's like PTSD from you play these games and you just run for 400 yards and you don't throw. That's just not Hugh. That's not Hugh. And Hugh was not the one. That was not Hugh's offense last year that we saw. He likes one-on-one matchups on the outside, 50-50. Get up and make something happen. That's why I think he could go over on the touchdowns and then be right around that. If he's somewhere around 25 to 2,600 yards and 25 touchdowns, like we're winning some ball games, guys. We're winning. We're winning a bunch of ball games. So I would say I love the line 26. I would almost say push on the yards, and then I'd say over on the touchdowns, just because of how I think this offense is going to play out.
The thing that really kind of excites me about all just the way the season could play out is that, and Blake's mentioned this recently, is that Rivaldo Fairweather is going to get to play tight end in the red zone. instead of being out playing the X receiver. And
the only receiver. Yeah, basically.
yeah. So having big guys like Perry and Cam, and then having Valdo actually as a tight end, and then that gives you the option to do some things with Jeremiah Cobb on a speed sweep. Defense has got some things to think about, man.
Hey, let me ask you, if you're on the 10-yard line and you're on defense, you got Cam Coleman on one side, you got Perry Thompson or Keandre Lambert-Smith, whoever, on the other side, and then you got Rivaldo right there as the big slot. What do you do? What do you do? Who do you take out? I mean, you kind of pick your poison there. If you cheat too much to one side, Rivaldo's going to eat you up in the middle. And then if you don't cheat enough, that's a 50-50 ball that's going to be more like a 70-30. It's kind of exciting to think about what you have in the tool bag here when you get in those goal to go situations and you got to throw one up, you got options. And instead of it only being Rivaldo and everybody in the world knows he's about to get the fade, and he won a bunch of battles, but also they can kind of key in on it. I don't think you can really do that this year.
Then you got Jeremiah Cobb out of the backfield.
That little check down for 10, 15 yards a pop. That excites me too.
I can tell you on EA College Football 25, you send Jeremiah on that speed tweet, baby.
Yeah,
you're getting 6. You're getting 6. And look, with we talk about, let's say they guard all those guys. You got a quarterback that did rush for 500 yards last year. Like, he can get in there with
people
his speed.
People are sleeping on that, man. People are sleeping on that. I've heard he looks even more. He's much more comfortable running the ball. I don't think he'll be required to do it quite as much this year. I don't see a lot of designed quarterback runs, but his scramble ability is sneaky good. It's vastly underrated. And I think he could be – I don't expect him to be the second leading rusher this year like he was last year. But he could reel off, you don't cheat anybody. You don't spy him. He could pop one for 12, 15 yards. So, yeah, you got a ton of options. You got a ton of options.
For sure. Let's look at the defensive side of the ball. We know that some of these freshmen are going to have to get in here. They're going to have to play early just like they are on offense. But I got a number for you. Okay. Sack number, 5.5. Give me over under 5.5 sacks for this freshman class. Amaris, Malik, DeMarcus Riddick. They're going to get 5.5.
Are you a bookie? Because the more I looked at it, that line is fantastic. Do you have a sports book on the side? Because that was because I looked at it and I tried to count it up. Like Keldrick had 1 last year. So Amaris is going to be sort of in his spot. Like, that's his backup. So you got to think Amaris is going to have maybe at least 1. I feel like Riddick's going to have 2 because of the way they're going to use him. They're going to put him in situations where he can just literally pin his ears back and go. And the speed he has is just incredible. And then you look, Jamonta Waller, they talked about him being a pass rush specialist. I think he'll probably get at least 1. So now you're at 4. I'm trying to think who the 5th one is going to come. 5 was like the target I was looking at. And I think the 5th may come from Malik Blockton. He's sort of worked his way up into being the dime package starting defensive tackle. So that's your pass rush downs when you got a lot of defensive backs out there and you're going to be speedy across the front. I could see him from the inside making something happen. So 5 is like a perfect number to me. And that would be fantastic. I think I'm going to take the under, but it's 5. It's like on the line. That's a great line.
Yeah, got you. Brad says the total sack total last year was 29. He doesn't think the freshmen get 5. The reason I asked that, Brad, and kind of frame it this way is because of the DJ Durkin system.
Yep.
And just like I honestly came up with this question after hearing about the rise of DeMarcus Riddick. Because I'm I think he gets 2, man. I think DeMarcus can at least get 2 this year. Hearing that he's definitely going to be in the rotation and playing. And last one I got. I got to ask you a recruiting question, man.
Yeah, hit it.
Let's look at a guy, not an Eric Winters or a Jared Smith. None of these highly rated guys. Let's look at some of these lower rated guys, and you tell me who you think is who's going to be the highest climber. We come back on signing day. We look at these final rankings. Who shot up the board, man? Who's the guy that's a little under the radar right now?
So the guy that I thought about this question, I think I didn't even really have to think about it because I just thought about where he went after he got his Auburn offer, and that's Bryce Diaz from the same high school that Blake Woodby came from. As soon as he got an Auburn offer, some people were like, "Whoa, who's this guy?" and then rivals John Garcia turns on the tape and says, wait a minute, we got something here. We got something here. And he's automatically becomes an unranked 4-star. And I think it's going to be late in the game, but I think he's probably going to make some all-star games. So if he makes some all-star games, then he's going to get to go do some of those all-star workouts and some of those one-on-ones with bigger talent. And obviously, I think he's going to have a good year. I could see Bryce Diaz. He's sort of like a flex player. He could be a linebacker. He could be a big safety. You look at Terrence Love style, possibly safety, playing around 215, 6'2", 6'3", 215, and then a guy that could bulk up even more and play linebacker. I like that kid. I don't look at him as just a filler. I don't look at him as I got him just to get his buddy Blake Woodby and then his buddy from the next class, a couple of buddies from the next class. He came in for camp. He showed out, and I think the coaches I think they love the versatility. DJ Durkin loves the versatility of this kid. I could easily see him skyrocketing into that, maybe get into that consensus top 300, top 250 type player. Maybe not all the way up to a 5-star, but going from unranked completely till you get your Auburn offer all the way into maybe like the top 300. I could see that out of him. That's kind of who I have circled. As soon as you asked, that was the first thing that popped to mind.
I like that. We do the film breakdown for our members every time somebody commits, and he was hard to even find tape on. Like you really kind of had to search to even find him. But once I watched him and his teammate Blake Woodby, I said, we got something up from there in Baltimore, Maryland now.
Oh yeah. And then you got the defensive back that committed for 2026, right. And then they have an elite pass rusher on that team too. But again, I don't think this kid was just let me get him so I can get them and them and them. I think they want this kid, and he can be a player in this defense.
Well, I saw some rankings. Maybe it was that Thompson game I was watching the other night, but I saw some national rankings for high school teams recently, and St. Francis Academy is nationally ranked in like the top 20. So they definitely got some ball players on that squad.
I've never even heard of that school before. Now all of a sudden we got a pipeline. Maybe remember the old school. Remember the old school NCAA. You get a couple of recruits from a state. You build that pipeline.
Yeah.
Hey, give me some DC area kids. Give me that pipeline. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure. Before we get you out of here, Kyle, Brent says he is digging the barn. So why don't you tell the people everything going on over at the barn? I subscribed yesterday, got my membership, baby. I'm in there. It's only $1 for the first month. So if you're not signing up, what are you doing? Tell the people, man, what all's going on over there?
Well, look, we're not journalists, okay? So we don't play the journalist game. Like it's just straight up, no articles, no fluff. It's just nuggets all day long. We got recruiting updates basically daily. We have some sources on the team that we get good practice reports. Information's everywhere. So where do you want to go? And you can connect, you can create community, have fun doing it, have fun conversations. I feel like I've been so much involved in message boards. I'm taking a little bit of what I've learned from everywhere and kind of rolling it into one. Again, it's thebarnauburn.com. It's $1 for the first month. We got some merch coming out. There's we switched over to a new YouTube channel with a lot of new content. We're going to have a basketball podcast coming out starting next week. Basketball only podcast along with, and I think Zepp Jasper is going to be joining me. So that's going to be a fun show. Just a lot of fun things going on at the barn. And again, try it out for $1. Hey, you can try anything for $1. You can try anything for $1. You're not out anything. And if you don't like it, cancel it. If you love it, let it roll. It's $9.95 a month after that.
It's worth it just for the Friday night threads, looking at it and being able to update and see what all the recruits are doing, man. Friday night, you can kind of keep. That's what I was doing. I was looking, scrolling, seeing how everybody was doing. I was watching my guy Dante Core ball out. He don't let nobody buy him now. I'm telling y'all. Man. I'm telling y'all. Hey, sleeping on this 3-star now.
Hey, sneaky receiver too. He's long, man. He's just like he's arms and legs. He's so long. So I'm fired up about
Carlton Davis. Carlton Davis is the comp I got.
That's a great comp. That's a great comp.
Yes, sir.
Score for Saturday.
I'm going to go 52-10, 52-9. How about that? We don't allow a touchdown, but we may allow a couple of field goals. 52-9. That's what I'm going. That's what I want to see. I want to see above 50, below 10.
Last one.
Hit it.
Rate the bat signal, the fat signal. I think it's gold.
I laugh every time I see it.
On a 1 to 10, what do you rate it?
All right, so I try to think about who all had the best ones, and Gus had the boom, and it was kind of cool because it had every exclamation point was that number commit in the class. So that was a good one. It's hard to beat Malik. I mean, Malik don't miss. Malik doesn't miss. So I think it's funny in general, and then he doesn't miss. So he's done three. He's done three in the last 7 days. We know one of them was for Nate Marshall. We feel pretty confident that the other was for Deuce Knight. Who was that third one? It could be a number of people. So let's see what happens. You got somebody out there that's a silent that you're kind of waiting to pop. I'm not 100% sure who that could be, but there's some big names. There's some big names out there right now that could be popping here soon. So it could be any one of them.
We appreciate you, brother.
No, thank y'all.
Yeah, man, that stuff. That bat signal is goated.
Forever. You got to keep them on staff after the fact, even in the NFL.
That's a fact. Yeah, man, we appreciate you and War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle, buddy. Y'all do a great job.
Appreciate you, man.
War Eagle, man. All right, Blake, before our next guest gets in here, I'm going to throw up a score prediction from Jeff Taylor, who says 69-14. What's the spread, Blake? What are we at here on the spread?
And it's 44.5 or 40. What is it? 47? Hold on now. Bear with me. It's something around. It's in the 40s, the upper 40s, man.
I saw it. I know it was a big number. It was a hard number to cover.
It is, man. I can. Here we go. Boy, they have taken. They're not showing it on ESPN.
Brett says 47.5.
47.5. There we go. I knew it was up in the 40s. 47.5. I think Jeff thinks we cover that with ease.
Yeah, for sure. He definitely does. And Jeff also makes a good point. He says with 113 live viewers and only 34 like button smashes on that like button, what are we doing here? Smash the button, man. We appreciate it. Drexel says, seen where Tate Johnson was the one worked out at Summit left tackle today. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Just wasn't expecting this situation. I thought that Percy Lewis was going to come in and kind of hold it down. But, I think that the point that Kyle made there about the size and the style of offense is a big thing. There's a kid here that goes to Pace High School. They just had a big win over MGM Friday night, and they've got a lot of good players over there. The 2026 kid. And the head coach at Pace actually went to Auburn, right? And a lot of people have been kind of DMing me saying, hey, what's up with this kid that's right there in your area, this 4-star offensive tackle that Bama's recruiting and Georgia's recruiting and all that? Well, I actually went to middle school in the Pace area. So I texted a couple people. I was like, what's up with this kid? They said he's a great player. And Auburn thinks he's a great player. But here's the thing. He's a pro style. He's big. He's a big body type of lineman. So you look at what we're kind of putting together here at Auburn, the Broderick Scholes, the Ty Busters, the Tavares Dice, athletic guys, DeAndre Carter, who's already making some noise, athletic guys because of the tempo that we want to use and just the style of offense that we want to use. So, yeah, man, Tate Johnson, a guy that's obviously got a lot of reps throughout his Auburn career. And I wouldn't mind seeing him crack that rotation, man, and getting there and do some things. I'm really excited to hear about the emergence of Braden Joyner, 3-star center, kind of came in one of the Harsin recruiting classes. Pretty unheralded guy, local kid, wanted to stay home. They didn't even know if he was going to play D tackle or offensive lineman when he first came in, and now that he is in there and getting his name in the rotation as well, it fires me up. But Blake, our next guest is in the bullpen, ready to bring him in because I know he's throwing the heat, baby. Mike G. Mike G is in the building. What's up, my guy?
What's going on, fellas? We've been talking. It was funny hearing you guys talk about offensive line. I've been talking about offensive line all day. As a matter of fact, I've been talking about offensive line since yesterday.
That's important, Mike.
And I think it's going to be interesting to see. They did the little offensive line shuffle. Hugh Freeze intimated that might be going on the first few games into the season. We'll see. At some point, the tape will hash out who plays where. Sounds like they're trying to rotate around Dylan Wade. But we got a lot of interesting storylines developing for week 1.
Man, that ain't what you want to hear.
I just didn't see it
No, it's
coming, man.
good. It's good.
Okay.
It's good, man. The thing is Auburn is extremely talented in a lot of places. Hugh Freeze is excited about it. He's been trying not to exude too much bravado here in the media, but quietly I've been told he thinks that they're going to do a lot better than a lot of people think they're going to do this year. And I think there's reason for that optimism. The schedule sets up right. You beat A&M, right? You take on Cal, a team you beat already, and they're excited about wide receiver. So in these first 3 games, we're going to see what these guys are made of. We released a depth chart. Did you guys see Malcolm Simmons there at the slot behind Robert Lewis?
He's ready to make plays, baby.
Yeah, listen, I tried to tell people. Everyone was like, "But Sam Jackson," and I'm like, "Look, man, he's a very athletic guy. He is, but is he Malcolm Simmons good? No, he's not. And this is a good problem to have. They're going to use Sam Jackson in some ways, I think. But I was excited to see a guy like Malcolm Simmons climb the depth chart. Him and Perry Thompson, because Thompson is right there, but behind Keandre Lambert-Smith.
Yep.
And Cam Brown is backing up Cam Coleman. Look, Auburn's got some options at receiver. I think it's going to be really, really fun to watch.
Mike, I wanted to start us off, man. Peyton Thorne threw 10 picks last year.
He did.
Do you think that number comes down? I know all of the talent at wide receiver, but in my opinion, I just don't think you can be – I don't even think you can get to like 8 or 9. Man, I think that number. I think it needs to come down to like 5 or 6, and just don't turn the ball over. Don't put your defense in bad spots. And we talk about Cal. That's the one thing it sticks out to me is like last year in that first drive where he just panicked, and if that play if it doesn't get reversed, we probably lose that game. Yep. And that was just one that kind of those mistakes can't happen this year. Do you think that number comes down?
Maybe not. I think that it possibly stays the same. Again, his history is around about 10, 11 picks, but the difference is he's doing that on a lot more attempts. So, look, man, if touchdowns go up to closer to where they're accustomed to it being, and he's getting 400 attempts. 10 picks. It's not great, but it's not. That's about middle of the pack in the SEC. I think the problem is a lot of the quarterbacks that you're going up against they're not throwing picks. I did a segment where we were talking about Graham Mertz at Florida. Auburn doesn't play them, but they're in the SEC, and I mean, as terrible a season as they had, man, he threw 25 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. Last year. Yep. And so, Thorne is a low 60% completion percentage guy. And I think that's the number that really has to improve because you're going to have to deal with turnovers in this league, man. Now, how much of that was on the wide receivers? How much of that was on Thorne? How much of that was just on crap play calling? I think it's a mix of all those things. So, if you fix the play calling and you fix the receivers, then all that's left is for Peyton Thorne to utilize his weapons better. They're saying that he's going to be allowed to make his own checks at the line last year. He said that he wasn't allowed to do that last year. I wonder how much of all those systemic things contributed to some of the interceptions that we saw last year. It sounds like they fixed a lot, quite honestly. And after talking to him, I just felt like, all right, this has got a chance to be much better. So, I think that it has a chance to stay the same. It can come down. I don't know that it has to. You just have to make more plays than you don't. Right? Like make more plays than you mess up.
I don't know. On that same line of thinking there, Blake, I just want to get this in because it was on the same topic. I asked Charlie this question, Mike, so I'm going to ask you. Chris Todd in 2009. I know he's a friend of y'all's show. Y'all talked to Chris Todd.
Yeah, he came on recently.
Yeah, he threw 2,612 yards and 22 passing touchdowns were his numbers.
That was an Auburn record at the time, yeah.
Yeah, so, man, do you think it's so bad?
That was an Auburn record at the time for passing touchdowns this season.
I know. So do you think that PT can reach both of those marks, 26-12 and 22 touchdowns?
Yeah, well, the touchdown mark.
Does he do it? Does he get there?
Yes, and yes.
Okay.
I think that the 22 touchdowns it's weird to say that, but in today's college football, it's like not a lot of touchdowns. Like it's not a lot, right?
Yeah,
You're expected
sure.
to throw a couple touchdowns a game.
It's a lot for Auburn.
Yeah, it is. It is in Auburn history because they've primarily been a run team, but you don't invest in all these receivers so that you can,
Yeah.
hand the ball off,
For sure.
even more. So they're going to run the ball more than they pass it because that's when Hugh Freeze's offense has been the best. But what I expect is I expect the volume of plays to be up because I don't expect them to be 3 and out as much. You've got to run more offense, more plays. Right? You guys see that commercial with Kanye West and Kobe Bryant? and Kobe Bryant's giving a speech, and he was like, "How much more successful can I be, Kobe Bryant?" He's like, "More successful." Right? Like that's the kind of feeling I have right now. I'm like, yo, how many touchdowns? More touchdowns. How many yards? More yards. How many interceptions? We don't want more of those, but still, you want it to look markedly better. And I think that last year was more systemic than it was on Peyton Thorne. And after talking to him, I've never been more convinced of that. As a matter of fact, I told him, I said, "Hey, look, I expect Peyton Thorne to do well this year." I actually texted him yesterday. We were texting about this fake Twitter account that's out there. If you see Peyton Thorne 10 on Twitter, guys, it's not him. He was like, "Mike, that's not me. Report that shit." And I was like, "Okay." So we, but I told him, I was like, "Listen, man, I'm expecting big things from you out there." I said, "I need 599 yards on Saturday," and he laughed and he was like, "Okay, got it." But he's I think he's going to go out there and he's going to do his best. I think it's incumbent on him to be more efficient. Right. And, for him, it's put up or shut up. And this is what Hugh Freeze said to us on Monday. He has supreme confidence in Peyton Thorne, but he's got to go out there and do it. And everybody's got to go out there and do it. So will he do that? Well, he's certainly going to have more opportunities this year. 266 pass attempts or 63 pass attempts, bottom of the league, and the fewest in Hugh Freeze's career. That can't happen again. Right? Like if you're going to have a shot, the only way that happens is if you've got 2,000-yard rushers on your team.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Right.
Yeah.
Like, Cam he didn't hit he won a Heisman and didn't hit 3,000 yards in today's football. That's crazy. But the anomalous part of that was he led the SEC in rushing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now you're expected to do both, man. Last year, Jaden Daniels came up just short. He was second in the SEC in rushing and threw for almost 4,000 yards. So football has evolved. Offense has evolved. And you've got to be able to do more. How much offense do we need? More. We need more offense.
Mike, let me ask you this, man. I asked Ike the other day about the helmet comm. How much do you think that could help Peyton? And I really liked Ike's answer on it. He was talking about with Auburn going more up tempo this year, that they can really utilize because it doesn't shut off until 15 seconds left on the play clock, and Auburn going up tempo and being effective on first down, it could really help Peyton because he gets that communication with Hugh, and he gets to hear Hugh and what he wants to do. Do you think that plays a big role for Peyton this year?
I think it does play a role. Communication in particular was an issue last year.
Yep.
Communicating plays. Man, I'm struggling here because there's some stuff I'm supposed to say and not say. But like, look, I think it improves. I'm more worried about Hugh Freeze in terms of communication than I am Peyton Thorne. Did you hear him at the press conference where he was like, "Man, I'm worried about hitting the wrong damn button and talking to the wrong person during the play." And he was joking. I hope he'll figure out or have a GA on his hip that will be able to tell him what's going on there. But look, more communication is always good. And I think that, Peyton has a supreme understanding of what they're trying to accomplish. So, yeah, sure, it plays a role in critical spots, though, Blake. In critical spots. But what I'm expecting is for Peyton to be an extension of the coach on the field and for them to have that at their disposal, but not needed as much. He's going to be allowed to call his own checks at the line this year. We're really going to see what Peyton Thorne is made of as a quarterback.
Yep.
So that cuts down on some of the need for that back and forth between the QB and the coach. And if Hugh Freeze is giving him that leash, I think that that's a really, really good thing. And, in those first 3 games, he'll either bear out whether he deserves that more rope or less. So, we'll see. But the communication, they brought that up at the press conference when they talked about, the new communications in the helmet and all that stuff. And it's sleek, and the players seem to really, really like it. But how much does, and the coaches are getting adjusted for sure. But, that's part of the game. You got to learn how to utilize the technology and, give yourself an edge there. I think they'll do it.
Mike, one of our members, Brett here, this is a perk of being a member at the Uptempo podcast. We'll get your question in when we interview people. He DM'd me today. He wanted me to ask you, Mike, does Auburn finish in the top, or does Auburn crack the top 25 at any point this year? And I'm going to amend it a little bit and ask, does Auburn finish in the top 25?
Auburn because I have Auburn starting 5-0. So I think that after they beat Oklahoma, they cracked the top 25. Now, whether they stay there, because they're, according to me and my boss at Toss and Law, said they got 2 L's coming directly after that. So they may not stay there. But is there a chance to climb back in there? Absolutely. I think if you beat a Kentucky team on the road, you wax up A&M, and then you somehow pull out a winning that Iron Bowl, then you have a chance to finish in the top 25. I don't have any delusions about this team winning 11 games, but I do think that 9 wins is a possibility, and that puts this Auburn team, particularly with the way the season flows, right on the edge of 25-20. It's possible. It may come down to the Iron Bowl about whether they finish in the top 25 or not, because they're gonna take some L's, man, in October. Right, like that Georgia one is sitting there looming large. And look, man, when we do our picks for that week on the Wednesday night show, and you guys come on, I'm letting you right, no suspense. L, I'm picking L. So unless you're telling me Bet gets hurt and Malachi, like all those guys get hurt, no thanks. Yeah, I'm not doing it this year. But the Iron Bowl is different. This might be the first time in 4 years where I have gone into an Iron Bowl saying, you know what, I think Auburn might win this one. I've not picked them in 4 years, man, since we've been doing this. So it's going to come down to the end, I think, and that'll put Hugh Freeze right where he wants to be in terms of recruiting for 2026 and for expectations, national expectations going into 2025. Now, think about this. Think about if Auburn had not lost to New Mexico State and did not goof the Iron Bowl up, what the expectations would be right now for them headed into this season. Right? And those are both winnable games. So, that's it. They're a year off schedule, but that's what I'm expecting at the end of this season. I'm expecting the finish that I expected last season, this season, and it's going to be around 8 or 9 wins.
So I understand, and I feel the same way with you. Blake said this the other day. Auburn hasn't won since at Athens since I was in the 7th grade, since I was going to the Scholastic Book Fair.
Yeah,
and that's a long time. And then 2010, I was a senior in high school. It's been a minute since Auburn's won in Athens or in Tuscaloosa. You're saying you don't buy Auburn in Athens this year. I agree with you. What makes you though look at that game in Tuscaloosa with a little bit of confidence?
No, Nick Saban.
Simple enough.
Guys, I said this until I'm blue in the face on Feinbaum. The Bama fans came after me immediately. The pitchforks were out. I'm not listening to that guy. Right? Like this is not the same Alabama. And I think that Hugh Freeze is going to want this Iron Bowl more. Think about, let me set the stage for you. Everybody join me in La La Land for a second here. Right? Like, what? Let's set the mood here. Let's join me.
Get you some joy mode. Hey, get you some joy mode, Mike.
Yeah. So let's talk about the Iron Bowl. No, really. This Iron Bowl, I think, has a chance to propel Hugh Freeze forward in this new race versus Kalen DeBoer more than he could have ever imagined. You walk into Tuscaloosa, and I think he's going to want this one bad. Right now, you already whooped his ass in state for recruiting this year.
That's a fact.
Log a win in the Iron Bowl, and the board doesn't have a chance. Right, and if you're Hugh Freeze, it's like, look, Saban isn't there anymore, and they're clearly trending backwards. Right? We hadn't won there in 14 years. He's gone in the first year. He's gone. We walk in there and we in their house and take a win. Now, and again, maybe I'm dreaming a little bit, but I just think that a lot on the Alabama side of this, they are underestimating how good Nick Saban was at preparing his team for the big games and pulling out the big wins, man, and always having the guy that made the play. And let me tell you something. What I saw there in Washington was when they ran into a team with a decent defense, because make no mistake, they may have beat Oregon twice, but they don't play defense in the pack. So the pack is no more. You know, and Michael Penix is a great quarterback, but they got waxed up by Michigan.
Yep.
Right? You're playing Michigan every other week in the SEC.
Yes, sir.
At media days, I asked them, I said, you know, how do you plan to attack these SEC defenses that you're going to see week in and week out? And he was like, well, you know, we've done what we've done and we think it's going to work. Okay, well, I don't blame him for that at all. But we'll see. We'll see truly how well it works. You know, because here's what happened, right? Brian Kelly brought his offense to the SEC. And give him credit. He won the SEC West in year one, and he produced a Heisman in year two. But when I tell you that defense was as bad could be.
Yep.
If they had an average defense, LSU would have been in the playoff last year.
Oh, yeah.
We would have been sitting here talking about Alabama in the play. It would have been LSU. That's how good Jaden Daniels was last year, and they were offensively. They were an absolute juggernaut offensively.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't even a question who's going to win the Heisman, right? But defensively, right, he's seeing that the SEC, what used to be a defensive league in the early 2000s, has turned into an offensive league, right? And they're producing quarterbacks at a high level now, and you have to be able to bring your A game, man. And I'm telling you, you know, DeBoer's in a conference where he's not the only one that's going to have a quarterback. He's going to be facing elite quarterback after elite quarterback. When we went down the quarterback rankings, think about it. You got Brady Cook and Luther Burden, who are one of the most prolific QB wide receivers, the right combos in the country. You got Carson Beck. You got Jackson Dart, right? Like, you know, Peyton Thorne is going to come out here and surprise a lot of people when people find out, oh, he doesn't suck. It was just a system. Graham Mertz, I'm telling you, is a dog of a quarterback.
Yep.
It's going to be really, really tough. And then that's not to mention we added Quinn Ewers from Texas.
Yep.
What do you do with that, man? I'm telling you, it's going to be much harder. And I think that Hugh Freeze he's a year ahead of understanding what this thing is becoming. And DeBoer may be stuck in a delusion that he can just waltz in here with whatever he did in the pack and it's just going to work. Good luck with that, buddy. There's a reason that all those top 10 paid head coaches are coaching in this conference.
Yep.
Now, you may be one of them, but look, man, I can't wait for the epic. If they lose 4 games this year, I can't wait for the epic meltdown from Bama fans. And Hugh Freeze can be the fuse that lights the fire that is the revolution of Bama fans crying weekly on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're going to see it. I'm telling you. And I think Hugh's going to want this Iron Bowl bad.
They got the fight in TJ Finley's, as Blake called him.
I saw
baby.
this on Twitter. Somebody said TJ Finley has a chance to do the funniest thing ever.
Yep.
I ain't gonna lie. Like, guys, I keep in contact with TJ. I text him. I was like, listen, bro, let me tell you what you should do on Saturday. They had a good laugh. But look, man, they're going to be tested. They're going to be tested this year. They got a decent schedule. You know, we'll see what it is. I still think you know, the road slate that Auburn has is harder, but you know, man, this could be a really meaningful Iron Bowl for both coaches. It's always meaningful on the Auburn side when you log a win in Tuscaloosa. But if they falter during the year and they go into that game at 9-2, Auburn could be the thing that keeps Bama out of the playoff.
Man.
Like, I mean, think about the storylines that could develop in this new SEC are incredible. I can't wait. I think this is going to be an epic season for the ages.
Mike, what I think's kind of crazy about that is you talk about Alabama going in there at 9-2. What if Auburn comes in at 8-3 and beats Alabama and ends up 9-3? Like, I feel like you not only take momentum and that you've already got in-state recruiting, but you win there for the first time since 2010. You take that momentum, and then I think Auburn would maybe not get in the playoffs at 9-3, but you would be in the discussion of saying, hey, look, is that 3-loss team deserving? Because what if your 3 losses, like you lose to Georgia, Missouri, and just say you lose to maybe Oklahoma. I know Dustin thinks we dropped to Oklahoma, so I'll say that. Like you're in the conversation, man. I think it would be great for Auburn to go in there, smack them around, and you get to 9-3, you're in the conversation for the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think you can lose the Oklahoma game and get to 9-3. Personally, I don't see that. I don't see that. I mean, because you might be talking about a month without a win if you lose to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But look, as far as 9-3 putting Auburn in the conversation for a playoff, I'm not so sure I see that either.
Mm-hmm.
And the only reason why I say that, guys, is because I believe that the SEC is in this new expanded SEC. They're going to produce 4 10-win teams, same as they did last year, right? And those 14, that fourth team is going to be the one that's on the bubble of getting in, because you remember you're going to have automatic qualifiers and you got all this stuff, right? And so 3 teams is very, very likely. 4 teams is probable, but at 9-3, I don't know if you could be that 4th team, unless they're going to let 5 SEC teams in. And man, if you want to see Danny Cannell have an absolute conniption,
he's got to stop
5 teams
God,
let 5 teams get into this playoff, right? So I don't think that's going to happen. I think 5 SEC teams, although I'd love to see it, I think it'd be bad for college football. Because you would be leaving out somebody from another conference that probably deserves it. I think it's important in an expanded playoff to get those, whoever the best G5 team is in, and so that we're not having this same debate about the little guy not getting a chance, right? Let them in. So, we'll see how it goes. But that's what I see there. 9-3.
Screw those little guys. I don't care anything about them.
Facts. I don't care to see Oregon beat Liberty 49-6. I just don't care for it.
I mean, even if they had a chance to play, I don't care as long as Auburn can get in there. So, like, whatever conversation involves Auburn getting in, I'm in favor of screwing all the little guys.
That's 10-2. That's my boss toss loss right there.
Yeah, listen, if it's 9-3 and it's between Auburn and a G5 program, screw that G5.
Yeah, man,
so let me ask y'all this: what if Auburn's 9-3 with close losses to Missouri, Georgia, and Bama? Let's say that the Georgia game you lose by 10, and then Missouri and Bama you lose by 1 possession, and then let's say Oklahoma wins 8-9 games, you beat them. A&M does what some people think they're going to do and messes around and wins 8-9 games. Me and Blake aren't buying that, but whatever. I think that the culture issues that you saw Auburn have last year, their new head coach is going to have to kind of weed out those same issues. But let's say Auburn has a couple of good wins, man. Cal messes around and wins 6-7 games, make a bowl. Got a couple of nice wins on a resume and 3 close losses. At that point, I know it kind of is like you're kind of looking at the field, but what is Auburn's argument if you get that to that?
You need that resume. To me, you need one of those all the games that even though you're calling them close losses, you need to win one if you're talking about being a playoff team.
Say Oklahoma goes 9-3 and you beat Oklahoma, and then
see, I think you have to get one of the big ones on the road.
Okay.
If you want to be in the conversation, you got to beat Missouri, Georgia, or Alabama, right? If you want to be in the conversation, and then tack that on to because if you lose to Oklahoma and you still want to be in the conversation, you're going to have to beat somebody that nobody expects you to beat. Ike and I were talking about this the other day. We were like, yo, what are the big home games? And we were like, Oklahoma? I said, well, it's another one outside of Oklahoma, right? And it was like A&M.
Not really Texas A&M, but
yeah. But the rest of the home slate guys is kind of, I'm saying
8 of them too. 8 of them.
Yeah, dude, it's chicken with no seasoning on the rest of that stuff. So
at least we didn't have to go to Ireland.
So yeah, that's where I'm at on that. I'm excited about this season. I think this is the most excited I've been about a season in a really, really long time.
Yeah, you can tell, man. You can tell. Yeah. I told you when we did the culture episode with you like a month ago, you just kind of seem like you feel good about what's going on, in that building.
It hasn't been like that in the past, Dustin. I'm telling you, I've been accused of being a negative Nancy, and this year I've got a whole different feeling about that thing. I mean, I carried that feeling pre-spring, when they asked about the ceiling. And to their credit, man, through spring and summer and into fall camp, they were able to turn my attitude about it around. And you know, like that doesn't amount to hill of beans in terms of what's going to happen on the field, but you know, I still think that it's significant what they were able to accomplish in the spring as a team, right? And with this roster, and then bringing the young guys along quickly. Now, there's still, you know, some missed assignment issues that they're dealing with some of the young wide receivers. Hugh Freeze talked about that yesterday at his press conference. But you've got 3 games to work that out, and you don't have to throw those guys to the wolves. Look, you know, Perry Thompson and Malcolm Simmons made the 2 deep, but you've got the experience of Robert Lewis and Keandre Lambert-Smith out there to help guide those guys. And if Cam, you know, Coleman, for some reason, has the freshman jitters, Cam Brown, you know, hey, man, you're up. Get in there and, you know, use that veteran experience and keep Auburn going. They feel like they have way more options this year in terms of playmaking ability. Peyton Thorne has facing those guys to go up and get the ball, and I think you're going to see him give them those chances, and Hugh Freeze is going to give Peyton Thorne a chance to do it. So, you know, that's really all we can ask for as Auburn fans. You know, they chose their strategy here when they decided not to go after a quarterback in the offseason.
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of talk about Cam Ward and all this stuff. I think Cam ended up at Miami.
Yeah, he's at Miami.
Yeah, right. So, yeah, Miami, Florida is that first game that we'll see on Saturday. But, you know, you hitched your wagon to Peyton Thorne. And, you know, if you're Peyton, bro, just be 2021 Peyton, and we're good. 2021 Peyton produces 9 wins. Guy, that's 3,200 yards, 27 touchdowns, 10 interceptions.
Yeah, give me that. Give me
I think that'll get it done.
Ike, before we get out of here, I didn't mean to cut you off, Blake. Let you go.
No,
my last question for the boys here. Ike, your overall, as we sit here on Tuesday of game week, first game week, kind of how you feeling, man? All right, appreciate you, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Just your kind of overall feeling, man, as we sit here on game week. Ike Jones, maybe put the analyst aside and talk to me as a fan real quick. What's the excitement level at, man?
Shoot, man, but my fan level excitement is about the same as my analyst level excitement, man. I need to see it before I get excited. What I am excited about is football's back, right? But I want them to go. I when I had to jump off of here, I was going on to an A&M podcast to do a recording with them, and they asked me, like, what are the expectations for the game this weekend? I was like, honestly, nobody's going to be happy unless they absolutely destroy A&M this weekend. There's not going to be a moral, oh, we won the game, but no, like, happiness only resides in Auburn, Alabama this weekend with the destruction of the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. And I don't think anything less is going to have more questions. So go out there and beat the living dog crap out of these boys on Saturday, man. Just don't even make it a question as to who is the better team on the field that day.
I know he's going. But it was one of my favorites. We just went out there and beat the number 2 out of them. All right.
Yeah.
When Gus said that
about Georgia,
yeah. When Gus said that, it tripped me up. But we didn't get a score prediction from you a while ago, man. What you got?
Oh, that's so hard for me to say because even the coach says they don't know how to game plan for this team defensively. But here's the score I want to see. I want to see somewhere in the range of 52-10.
Okay.
52, like that's what I want to see, a score that looks something like that, like a 40 point beatdown is what I want to see.
What do you is there anything that, like, in the game, because I know, you know, we had Kyle Rush on earlier from the barn, and you know, he's been saying all week, like, he wants to see Auburn specifically air the ball out this weekend. Is there anything like that you're looking at, like a certain number of throws you want to see PT put in the air 25 times or anything like that? You just want to win a game.
Yeah, okay. Efficiency is what I want to see from Peyton Thorne, right? Like, here's what I want to see from Peyton Thorne. I want to see at least 4 offensive drives, all of them ending in points, preferably at least 3 of them ending in touchdowns, and then go sit down. Okay. I don't care how they get there. I don't care if he only throws the ball 12 times in all 4 of those. I don't care. I just need to see efficiency. When he decides to throw the football in the RPO situation, it was the right decision. Was he in the neighborhood of where the pass needs to be as far as the intended receiver And, the outcome of that, doesn't need to be interceptions, overthrows, etc. Right. I just need to see efficiency with how he operates. I want to see him make some adjustments on the fly at the line of scrimmage. And I want to see him orchestrate 4 scoring drives before he goes and sits down and turns the keys over to Hank Brown. If I see that, then he leaves the game if the defense isn't playing like crap. And Auburn will have 24 to 28 points at that point in time going into the half. I'm completely fine with that. A 28-3 score at the halftime and Peyton Thorne sits down, I'm good with that. Then Hank Brown comes in the second half, likely the entirety of the third quarter, and he leads 2 more touchdown drives. And then you get 2 more touchdown drives from whoever's going to be the third guy off the bench, and you get to my 50-something points that we're talking about. Everybody has a good day in the showers, and that's pause, all of that.
Whoa, Northwestern over here. We ain't Northwestern.
Good day, showers, and goes home.
Whoa, now.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, for sure.
I need to put a comma there. Have a good day, showers, and then goes home happy.
All right, man. Listen, I had a great time tonight. Before we get out of here, guys, listen, these memberships are popping right now. A lot of people signing up. Now is the time to do it. You can get that $3.99 a month JV squad. That will get you into the game day group chat, member shout outs, member only live chat, priority reply to comments, early access to the videos, and access to our exclusive gifts. The varsity squad is where you want to be, though, baby. $5.99 a month. Blake went and watched Shadarius Tootle put on a show last Friday night. My man had 4 tackles for loss, 18 tackles. Blake was there to see it. He'll do a member pod for you guys to talk about it. I've gone and saw Dante Core twice. I'm going to go watch Dante one more time this week. And then we got Malik Autry and Antonio Coleman. Got a whole lot of other guys ready to check out. So we're doing it, man. We're banging this thing out. Anytime a guy commits, we come in here and we break down the film. There's a lot of stuff going on over here. You want to be in the game day group chat, man. We're constantly dropping nuggets that we hear from recruiting intel, things going on in the building, all that kind of stuff. So sign up today, man. You need to do it on your desktop. $5.99 a month. That's a varsity squad. And go over here to the warreportshop.com. Get you some of that up-tempo merch, baby. And before you get out of here, subscribe to the channel if you haven't. There's 150 people in here right now. I know all of y'all aren't subbed, baby. I know all of y'all ain't subbed. Go ahead, subscribe to the channel. Smash that thumbs up button. And let's have a season, guys. Just real quick, Blake, I just want to say this. Hugh Freeze mentioned it the other day and talking about the young receivers. He said, hey, there's been some miscommunications. They're really talented. So just keep that in mind, man. This is a young team. We're all really excited. We're all really excited to see these young, talented guys out there. If they're still freshmen, there's still going to be some mistakes at time. But like I will continue to say, I think this year is going to be the setup year for a very, very big 2025. So I'm just fired up, man. I'm so happy that it's here. I'm so happy that we don't have to do any more over-unders and what if this guy does that. I don't have to come up with bullcrap topics anymore, baby. We can just talk about the damn ball. Me and Blake will be back later on in the week to give you a full preview of the Alabama A&M game, and I'm so fired up to do that, man. War damn Eagle. That's all I got tonight, Blake.
Last thing I'll say is member pod coming out in about an hour. I got some stuff that I got to work out real quick, and then I will drop that here in about an hour. The Tootle pod will come out probably tomorrow night. Let's see, Thursday. Yeah, let's do tomorrow night. I'll drop that tomorrow night for you guys, and then I will be. Hopefully, I will be at Mary G. And Gulf Shores Friday night. But if somebody decides to flip from Notre Dame, I might ride up the street and go see Deuces Loose. So
baby.
Just depends on how it goes. So with that being said, Saturday is here. The Auburn Tigers run out the smoke in Jordan Hare Stadium, and it's going to be a glorious sight. Pull for your quarterback. Pull for PT, man. Be with that guy, and let's go have a year. Like Dustin said, let's go kick some ass. I'm ready. Thank y'all for joining us, man. Like Dustin said, 150 people got in here. We just keep growing, and it's all due to each and every one of you. Let's go have a year, man. It's football season. War damn Eagle.
We'll see y'all later in the week. We're out. It's War damn, baby.